Takk skal du ha, Lars Halbrikken fra SV. Shikib Mansouri, as someone who was born during the Mujahideen era and I witnessed the black era of Taliban regime moment by moment. And as someone who spent the entire period under the Republic and the democratic system in Afghanistan. He wants to share his voice and stories with you.
Hello, everybody. Good afternoon. As someone who was born during the Mujahideen era, and I witnessed the blackout era of Taliban regime moment by moment. And as someone who spent the entire period under the republic and democratic system in Afghanistan, I want to share my views and stories with you. I spent my elementary school years during the black regime of the Taliban. I remember that I was not more than 12 years old. I had to wear a turban. There were no proper classrooms and no chairs. The student had to sit on the bar floor. There was no rack, of course. There was no lesson too. We had to learn all the nonsense idea and thoughts of the Taliban, abhorrent and violent thoughts from Islam. I remember that my mother was flexed by the Taliban for taking me to school because it was late for school. And my mother had to walk fast, and it was a crime in the Taliban society for a woman to walk so fast. There was no amusement park. And one day, when I was very tired, I went to Kabul Stadium to watch football with my uncle. The first half was not over when the game stopped. I noted that a woman was brought to the football field and then shot in the woman's head in front of all the fans. Let alone the fact that my father was beaten many times because of his short beard, or that my younger brother was put in prison several times because of having long hair. These were a few examples of tragic acts that were experienced by all Afghan citizens. Radio, television, music, and parties did not excite at all. We can't even imagine the dark days of the Taliban regime. Then, on 11th September 2000, attack happened. A promising plan prepared to set up a new system for Afghanistan. The Taliban were asked from Afghanistan and NATO entered the country to support and rescue the terrified Afghanistan society. It was the beginning of my high school years in 2001, when the atmosphere in Afghanistan changed completely. A new system called democracy entered Afghanistan. For a short time, many people in society were happy. The head of the transitional government, Hamid Karzai was visiting people without bodyguard in the street and bazaar of Kabul. Girls and women, like their fathers and brothers, slowly joined this society. The Afghan immigrant returned like a flood from Iran, Pakistan, and other countries back to Afghanistan. The international community sent humanitarian and materials aid to Afghanistan. The transitional government ended after 2 years. Presidential and parliamentary elections were held. Economic markets flourished. Girls and boys went to school, university, bazaar, and jobs, and etc. More than 3,000 national and international organizations were active. Most of their activities were youth capacity building and human rights awareness, especially the rights of women and children. If the era of the Taliban regime continued, God forbid, surely today I, like the Taliban, would have an old idea and I would not be among you today. And I would never allow my sister to go to school because I would definitely go under the influence of their prejudiced idea and I would never change myself. These days, this question rests whether the Emirat is God or Republic. We have not yet experienced the Republic and the true sense of the word in my country. However, they feel and have experienced the real system of the democracy in Western countries and the United States of America. Afghanistan is going through a harsh and horror time now. Who is responsible for this difficult situation? Though I appreciated the international community's support and assistance, let me respond to my question with an example. I once worked for an international organization from the European Union in Afghanistan to child protection. Our organization's strategy was to support children get education and study and should not work on the street, while another US-based organization called Save the Children, whose strategy was for children to have access ties. Both organization strategies benefit the children of Afghanistan. But what was on the contrary was how they worked. We encourage working children on the street with providing financial support to their family to lead their children to go to school. But the other organization was distributing today to working children on the street. This action has put our organization with a huge challenge as we are not able to prevent children from working on the street because they were coming to the street to get ties from the other organization. This was an example of the nature of works for non-government organizations. Now, the question of how the Taliban has been able to take over the control of Afghanistan by their motorcycle and basic weapons, while the Afghan government was equipped with advanced challenge and weaponry. It's a question that the United States and its allies should answer. Today, there is no country in the world without Afghan citizen refuge. Therefore, the international community should know that addressing the dire situation of Afghanistan is one of their foremost responsibilities because the fire and blood of Afghanistan are affecting the whole world. Today, every Afghan in every part of the world is suffering, and the consequence of this suffering will have a direct impact on children and their work environment. Therefore, I suggest to all international partners, especially the Norway government, to put Afghanistan on its top priority and have a specific attention to Afghanistan so that it can regain its relative stability. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Shakib Mansouri. Afghanistan.
Zindabad.
Afghanistan.
Zindabad.
Afghanistan.
Zindabad.
Takk. Takk til dere alle som har deltatt i denne demonstrasjonen til støtte for oss. Jeg vil avslutte dagens demonstrasjon med å lese et dikt som jeg selv har skrevet i forbindelse med situasjonen i Afghanistan.